Well, hello out there, and good morning to our listeners from around the world. I want to welcome you to another edition of This Morning with Soulivity. This is Brian Wesley Johnson, and we're broadcasting live from our studio right here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital here in America, and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. Listen, everybody, we have such a fantastic show for you today. And a fantastic special guest that we're going to introduce in just a minute. But first and foremost, I have to introduce my amazing co-host, Sheila Applegate. Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning, Brian.
It's a beautiful morning.
It is.
Um, we have a special treat today, and I want to get right to it because we have our dear friend who's also a special guest and a special guest co-host, Halina Goldstein. Halina is the author of Love Songs, The Sea Approach, Joyful Economy, and is the co-founder of Awakening to Joyful Living and a co-founder of the Joy Keepers Network. So good morning to you, Halina.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, as everybody knows, when Helena's here, you can know that we are going to be talking about joy in all its aspects, and we're going to be talking, Helena, with you over the next 3 Tuesdays about different aspects of joy in our life. Specifically, today we're going to be talking about something that is like one of my favorite things to do, and that is vacationing. But we're going to be talking about it in the aspect of, how do you plan for a vacation with joy in your life? And I know it may sound to people a little like, well, if I'm going on vacation, I would be joyful, right? But that's not necessarily true a lot of times. And that people have difficulty in grounding the joy in before, during, and then even after they come back. And so we're going to be talking about that with you today. So I'm looking forward to that. As always, everyone, if you're part of this conversation, we want your questions, your comments, your thoughts. If throughout the broadcast today, if you have any comments that you want to make, or you just want to say hello, we love that too. Feel free to post to our live feeds on YouTube or Facebook, and you will be part of our conversation. So let's get to it, y'all. And Helena and Sheila, again, I love vacationing. I think, Sheila, you know me. I love, that kind of thing. But there's when we were kind of preparing for today's show, we're kind of like, okay, what areas do we really want to talk about? And it made a lot of sense to me when both of you were saying that, listen, you can't, that it's more beneficial to start the process of preparing for your vacation with joy. But how do we specifically do that? So I'm going to go to you, Helena, first, and then I'll go.
Okay. So, well, let's start with. I'd like to start actually with saying something about joy and happiness, how they together. Because what most of us do today is that we expect that vacation will make us happy. Because happiness is something, this good feeling we have when something nice happens in our life. So we go, oh, vacation, I'm going to be happy. And more people than we know are actually experience disappointments already before and during and after vacations. There are reasons for that, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it. So I would like to turn our attention to joy instead, because joy it's a kind of similar feeling, but it's something that is always within us, just like love is always within us.
Right.
So the choice we have, in a way, is to say, do I want to base my vacation on happiness, or do I want to base it on joy? Do I want to base it on something fleeting and that I cannot be sure about and then comes and goes? Or do I want to base it on this feeling of joy that I have within me before and
Right.
during and after vacation. And that takes practice, of course, but there's a difference there. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, Sheila. I mean, people do need to understand that there's a difference between those two. And I think happiness, my understanding of happiness, and then I'll go to you, is happiness is more about things, like tangible things that can bring a certain experience to you. Joy is just innate, right?
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. It's always here for us and we can
Mhm.
tune into it whenever we want. And I think
Mhm.
you both really hit it on the spot with the idea that when we discern and talk about happiness as an exterior thing that happens to us, happy and happens, right?
Mhm.
Right, right, exactly.
Then we're maybe putting all this energy in, well, when I get there, I will be happy, or, and so there's all this pressure.
Right,
And then if anything doesn't go right, or, you wake up and you're not feeling in a good mood, then you can like put this added pressure on that during this time. It's like holidays, right? During this time, we got to be happy. When if
right,
we step back from the exterior and go within, we can feel that joy. And no matter what happens, and I got a story I'll talk later about of a time recently where I had to hold joy. But I want to talk about a time last year. Halina and I, through the Joy Keepers, we put out this project for people to write a letter to Joy. And in my letter, Joy asked me to take, I'll say her, along them. I'll take them along on my trip that I was having. And so I
Mhm.
consciously did, like an imaginary friend. And it was amazing to watch how things fell into place. People going out of their way to help me right from when I got off the plane and landed in Seattle. It was like these things that could have been stressful or disappointing right from the
mhm,
start
mhm.
were not, because in by having Joy by my side as my companion, all these little tiny miracles just kept unfolding. And so even the weather didn't, we had a great time on the beach in the rain. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's fantastic. I love
So I
that.
think, yeah, what do you think about, have you taken Joy with you, Brian?
Oh yeah. It's funny because over the years, what I do is I start the process of literally imagining how my vacation will be before I'm even there. And so I do that through like the planning process. Like as I'm like planning, it's like, you know, um um I want to I'm going to be feeling this way, so what resonates with me around that? And so like what flights do I want to take? What transfers do I want to have? What kind of accommodations do I want to be in? What kind of places do I want to go to while I'm there? And so before, I'm already claiming the joy of the trip before I get there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so it just, and I highly recommend, so people when they ask me about like, like, wow, you're really good at planning your trips, it's, I would say yes, but in the fact that I'm embodying and claiming that I'm going to have a joyful experience,
Mhm.
period. And that's what's
Mhm.
going to happen before, as I go through the process of getting there. Like, like how many of us really like, checking our bags and all, going through the airport
Mhm.
and all that kind of
Mhm.
thing. It's like, so I give myself time to do that. That's a joyful, so it's peaceful.
Mhm.
If there's like little special perks that are available, like if you can go to a club, or you get special treats for a restaurant based upon your flight or whatever, you indulge in that. And then you peacefully wait for your flight, and you pick a great seat beforehand. I mean, all those things are all like part of it. But the main thing is focusing, that I always focus on the joy before I even start planning it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds, yeah, that's the way.
What are some other things that you do, Helena, like practically around like, if let's say you were coming to DC, which you're going to be doing soon, but I'm just saying this, just hypothetically, what would be something that you would do practically to prepare for that vacation to, as part of this?
Yeah, I, one thing that I notice with myself, it kind of happens by itself, but it's really important to notice it and to acknowledge it and to allow it. And is that, and I think most of us know that feeling that let's just say that you have planned vacation for the next week,
Hmm.
and what starts to happening maybe already week before is that there's a feeling like, oh, I don't feel like working so much.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I already want to be on a vacation, and because we have like both like obligations and but also like uh, some sort of ethics around work, what is the right thing to do and what not,
Hmm.
we often will push against it, and we'll say no, 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 I have to work, and it becomes a bit negative week, that work prior to
Mhm.
vacation, because we kind of power through, and we force ourselves to work as much as possible, often to wrap things up before vacation. But
Hmm.
I actually believe that our energy is guiding us in the right direction, that we need to slow down and to gradually prepare for a different way of being, because what happens for really many people is that they don't do that, and then the first thing that happens when they go on vacation is that they get very stressed, because now
Mhm.
there's time for the stress to come out. Now there's time for all the
Yep.
disagreements to come up, and
Yep.
people have fights with each other. So the first week or two of vacation is cleaning, being water after
Yeah.
what could have been prepared for.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it's really important, if at all possible, to allow that slow movement, and with joy, absolutely, with the awareness. Joy starts now and not
Right.
only when I go for vacation. So it's a softer transition.
As we're talking about this and we're coming up on our first break, I'm thinking about how I think that some people basically kind of it's almost like the feeling of, well, vacation is my time to release all of this stuff, right?
Mhm.
And what I would offer to people is, I would say release before you go on vacation.
Mm.
Right.
So do things, every single day, specifically leading up to your vacation, where you're affirming that you're releasing the stress of your job, that you're releasing whatever obligations that you may have, and that you do that before you get on the plane or the train or get in the automobile or whatever. Because Helena, you just brought up a very special point, and that is, I have been guilty of it. I know Sheila, you have, and probably Helena, you too. And
Oh,
that
yes.
is, you wait until you're on vacation, and then you start
Mm.
Mhm.
releasing all this stuff, and then you start your vacation with having a horrible time.
Mm. Mm.
Because all this stuff is on your mind, and it's like that 2 to 3 day period where you finally wind down and you're now in the flow. And it's like that can come so much quicker if you do some things beforehand.
Mm.
And so, great, 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 great start. I like this. And so, listen, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about more about, like, how do you bring joy in that transitional period, like right before you leave and then those first few days, so that you can really kind of have a really joyfully happy and enthusiastic vacation that also it gives you a lot of rest too. And so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Yes, you will. You will see Sheila on Wednesday. Coming up on the next Cautiously Awesome Living, Sheila, you're going to be talking about our emotions. I second that emotion. Coming up today, we're talking about how, planning your vacation with joy with our very, very special guest today, Halina Goldstein. Halina, what? And you just brought this up at the end of the last break. There's this transition period, right? That happens, right at the beginning of our vacation. Um, that's kind of like, is like the tail end, right? Of like when you're planning and all that, and then you're on the plane, train, or automobile, and then you get there. How do you transition? How do you do that? What's something that you do during those first few days?
Well, I might be a really poor example because because working so much with joy, it's always with me, and it's a huge part of my daily living and daily practices. So to be completely honest, I'm not even sure I do something special, but I do know that I do something similar as you do, but in a different, like in a way that's specific for me, is that I know what is important for me, for that joy to flow. So for me, for example, it's important to have very few plans, to have a lot of space, to have a peaceful environment. So I make sure that this is there, so that the joy can flow through it, so to speak. But
Wow, I
yes,
like that.
practicing joy. I think the essence of it is that of course we need to, and we want to, because we all want joy. So we want to connect with joy every day, and then we can take it with us on vacation too. Not the other way around.
Sheila, now do you plan a lot of stuff when you go on vacation?
You know what? Not compared. I was at a graduation party with my cousin, and they were planning their trip to Hawaii, and she is very different than me on that. She had everything planned, and I know that there's joy in planning that. My kids like it, their dad likes it, and there is some joy of that to me, but I do not plan everything. And in fact, as I say often, my kids are both far away from me now on the West Coast. So pretty much all of my vacations lately have been visiting them. And so I know my priority is to be with them and to be in their life. So I take joy in them planning, and there really isn't, if something comes up and I think this would be fun, I tell them, but it's that being with them that's most important to me. And then I also know, and that goes for because a lot of times I do travel to people I care about. I usually, in the last several years, that's what I do, because I have so many incredible people around the world that I love. So, so that's a top priority. And then nature, you all know from what I say, I have to connect to nature. When I get to a new place, even if it's a city, I do need to ground myself by connecting with the trees or the land in some way, and saying hello and knowing that I'm there. And if it is a big city that I'm going to, I definitely need my downtime to be in the quiet and nature too.
Absolutely. I know for me, when like, I'll give a great example. The last time that my wife and I were in Rome, I planned out like basically not everything. I mean, I planned some things, but I also put space for
Mhm.
us to just do some spontaneity kind of stuff. And and it always kind of works out best to do that, where, and even if there's stuff that we plan to do, we both kind of agree that, listen, if something's going on and we both are kind of like, well, we planned that, but we don't want to do it, and then we don't do it, and then we go do some stuff, some other stuff, and we kind of like play. And I think that that's kind of part of it, right, Sheila and Helena,
Yeah.
where
Mm.
this is playtime, and
Mhm.
and you don't see your kids or kids out here arguing over like what to do and all that kind of stuff. They may argue about like who's going to do what, but that doesn't last very long, and then they're playing. And so I think that's part of the joy that we need to tap into when we're doing this. I mean, again,
Mm.
vacation is heavenly for me.
Yeah, and it's great to let wonder in, right? Like we
Oh,
want space for
oh
wonder
my God,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
to show
Yeah,
itself.
Sheila,
Yeah.
when we were there, we would just take these long walks through the city, and just
Mm.
like in Paris, you undoubtedly find something that is
Mhm.
like incredible. A little bench by the Thames, by the river, right, by the Tiber River, um, a little gelato place that where locals go to, that's by the Colosseum or something. And so it's just, yeah, 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 it's amazing.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Mm. Mm.
um Alina, what should people do if they're in a situation where they're getting a little stressed out about the trip, like in the beginning? Just think about that, and when we come back, we're gonna tackle that on that question, because I want you to kind of think about it, because I think sometimes, especially couples, I know it's happened early in my relationship with my honey, where you're in that transitional period and you're getting a little stressed and you need a little help to kind of like get you back on track, right? So why don't we take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that part of like having vacations with joy. And so we'll be back in about 45 seconds.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
Yes, yes, yes. You can see another episode of Steps to Happiness show with Teresa Greco coming up this Thursday at 12 noon Eastern time, where she's going to be talking about remembering who we are with happiness. Isn't that wonderful? I love it. I love
Mm.
That is.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
We're here with Halina Goldstein, and I'm here also with my beautiful co-host Sheila Applegate. I'm Brian Johnson. We're talking today about planning your vacation with joy, having your vacation with joy, coming home with joy after your vacation, and everything. One aspect that we're talking about, Halina, is that transition time where you get stressed, right? You get a little stressed out,
Mm.
and how would you suggest people move out of that, or have a process to move out of it?
Well, generally speaking, I think the most important part is to really, and you already touched upon it before the break, is that how important it is to listen to our needs. Because what
Mm-hmm.
often happens is that
Mm-hmm.
we have this, now it's vacation, and it becomes like a pressure. It's a vacation. I have to be happy. I cannot be stressed. I should be this and that and playful. And
It's a job.
yeah, exactly. It becomes a job, something to live up to. But if we could say the most important part about vacation is perhaps to not have that pressure, to just say,
Yeah.
who am I? What do I need? What do I feel like? Most stress happens because we go against our needs and against our impulses and against what feels right. So if we can give ourselves and each other permission to say that,
Mm-hmm.
as you said also, yes, we have plans and things, but the most important part is to relax into every moment. And sometimes that means also feeling some stress. And if we allow it, then it passes, right?
Right.
But if
Right.
we go against it, then it just builds up. So that's really a poor investment. So
Yeah. Yeah. Sheila, have you ever had that where you've,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have the most perfect example
Oh,
from my
but
last trip.
oh, yes.
Yes, right? So, in March, a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
I went to see my youngest child, Justin. Justin had given me a trip to go visit them for Christmas, and I could not wait. And I arrived and everything was great. I met up with Justin. I got to see the campus. It was cherry blossom season, and they're known for their trees on the campus. We went to, see their lab, meet the lab head, because they're in a biochemistry doctoral program.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went out and we talked about all the things Justin had planned for our trip. And it was, the more we talked about the plans, the more joyful it was going to be. I was going to finally meet some of their friends that I haven't been able to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to all these places. And then the next morning, Justin got COVID.
Oh.
Everything went away. For the whole 5 days I was there, Justin would be in quarantine.
Woo.
And so, can you talk about anything more stressful? I watched our whole trip just go away, but then I remembered, my joy was being with Justin and that I could be there. Fortunately, we had an Airbnb that was going to house both of us. I was not susceptible because I had had it very recently and I'm vaccinated. So I didn't have to worry about that. And then, I had to allow time to cry a little for what wasn't going to
Mm-hmm.
happen, and then find the joy in what was. And I know Justin, so I knew that Justin would be sleeping because
Mm-hmm.
that's how they do sick.
Yeah.
And which is so rare. They never get sick. So the first day when I knew, the first day and night, I stood by their side to make sure they were okay, right in the other room. And then the next day I knew they would still be asleep. So that day I went out and did a couple things on the list that they had wanted me to do. And then after that, they were like, well, do you want to go do the other stuff? And I said, no, I don't want to do that I didn't come to tour. I came to be with you. So I went for walks in the neighborhood. I cherished the flowers. I found all these new areas. And when they were good enough, we would go out and go for a drive and do different things. So, it's really just shifting your attention, remembering your priority, and letting that joy in no matter what.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. This kind of takes us into the next part of this, which is like focusing on joy during your vacation, right? Which is like,
Mhm.
I love that story, Sheila, because once you moved out of kind of embodying the stress and everybody was able to shift into joy, and the real meaning, the deeper meaning and purpose behind that vacation, then the joy just rushes in, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
fools rush in,
I can't say
joy
I didn't
rushes.
cry when I get home. There was a little grieving
Of
to get out,
course, because
but
it's
there was time to do that later.
you know, and to that point, I think one of the principles, and I'll ask Halina, you and Sheila this question as well, and that is one of the principles that I have about vacation is, and it was taught to me by one of my old bosses who had traveled the world. I mean, had been everywhere. I mean, he had hit every continent, including Antarctica. He had been down to Antarctica too, and he would say, "I'll be back. I'll be back."
Right.
I'm,
Yep.
I'm,
And we did that. We just said, "I'll come back. We'll do this."
right,
we'll do
and
this
really
next
mean
time."
it, right? Not like, oh, I'll
yeah.
come back, and it's like pie in the
Right.
sky. It's like, no. Wherever you're gonna go, don't try to see everything. Don't try to do everything, because number one, it's impossible.
Right.
So just say to yourself, I'm having a wonderful time here. I'm having this joyful experience, and there's so much more here that I want to explore. So I'll come back.
Right.
You know, Halina, what about you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are some of the things that like during the vacation that you kind of do in terms of like having this kind of, you know, not a mental focus on joy, but just an energetic focus on joy?
Well, the way I am, it doesn't take much, because I love being in nature. I like being alone. Actually, I love people, but I also love being alone.
I hear that.
But the essence of it is actually that you both mentioned it along the way. You said, then joy flows in. Like when you create space for it, then joy flows in. And there's something that I've been pondering lately, even more than before, and that is, I noticed, because I live in the vacation areas, so right now there's like tons of tourists, but if you go on a train or on a beach, there are so many people, they look on their smartphones all the time, and so part of their attention is not in just being and relaxing in this wonderful, what they call the Northern Riviera, but it's in their smartphone, right? So it's really, really important to know that, you know, when I was young, let me say it this way, when I was young, there was no internet, no smartphones, and that made vacations different, because you really relaxed more, because there was natural space around you. You wouldn't you would look around, you would be curious. Nowadays it's really different. The human species is changed. So part of the relaxed, open wonder that you mentioned, Sheila, is not happening, because people look at the smartphone all the time. So not all the time, but much of the time, and during vacation too. So that thing is important to during vacation say, like, my smartphone needs a vacation too, and give it to them, right? And just be more present with what is there, because here we are, right?
Right. Man, I can't wait till I'm like just kind of living that dream like you are, Lena, where it's truly kind of like just, you know, where you're just joyful all the time, and that it's more of an intensity than it is whether or not it's there. And I guess that's maybe true for everybody, right, Sheila?
I
mean,
think so.
Yeah, where we dial it back, and we're maybe on a half a point or a 1 out of 10, because we're thinking that we need to like do, you know, focus on something else, and that, you know, that kind of thing. And then other times we can dial it up to maybe a 7 or something like that. But I guess the idea is to have this, especially when we're on vacation, to allow that volume to get a little higher, and that intensity to get a little higher.
Right. I think a key to this, which is going to be, I'll go in more into detail on the show today, Consciously Awesome Living, which is realizing that joy is present in all the emotions. We don't pick one emotion at a time. So
Yes.
I could be sad and grieving while still being in joy, or I could be angry and still know that joy is with me.
Yes. Yes. I like that. Ooh, that's so
That is so
true.
true. That's so true.
And it's
Yes.
something that I think that we don't know, we're not aware of. I think that because of our brain, we think we have to choose, right? That we can't,
Right.
that, oh, well, I'm supposed to be angry, right? You can be joyfully angry. Believe me, you can laugh about stuff that you're pissed off about. And then it's easier to deal with, right?
Right.
Man,
Right.
I'm loving this show. Listen, we're gonna take another quick break. But when we come back, we're going to talk something a little bit deeper. Well, in addition to all of this, which is like, where are some of our favorite places to kind of go? What are our favorite experiences? Maybe we have some stuff from the past that we want to talk about, as well as like, there's this great article in the Times that talks about, how you can kind of take your own perfect vacation. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we'll be back, we'll have more of This Morning with Soulivity. We'll be right back.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
And as we're getting started here, just kind of checking out this beautiful scene from the White House. This is live, and that beautiful scene there. We're here with Halina Goldstein and doing everything that we can to help you have a very special vacation with joy, which is what we're all trying to accomplish in our lives when we're on vacation, right? Not have all this stress and all this kind of stuff that's there. Simple question to both of you. No, Sheila, you talked about being out in nature. Where have been some of the special places you've been? Or what's been some like a favorite place that you like to go to that you would just go to today?
England, specifically East Grinstead, which is a tiny town,
See, I love
is a
this. I'm getting
second home
ideas.
to me. That's a second home to me. I did an exchange in high school, and then also I was there for a semester in college, and have soul family that I connected to. Plus, I was able to channel Magdalene in Glastonbury. So England is kind of my
Wow.
second country home, I think. But
Mhm.
like I said earlier, when I think now of traveling and I look around the world, it's where the people are. I
Yeah.
want to travel to the people I care about. And someone like Halina and I are making some plans now because, we're
Hey,
so
I want to
close
go.
and yet we've never
Yeah.
seen each other. And you and Brian, like, I got to get to DC, and, we have these deep relationships and we haven't even been in the physical with each other. So, that is my go-to. And then from there, I get to experience what life is like in all these different
Right,
places.
right. What about you, Halina? What's like one special place that you could say, like, if I was to go, I would go there today?
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to mention a place that is moving. It's a train.
Oh, I
I
love
have
trains.
I
Oh
have
my God, I
fallen in
love
love
trains.
with taking a train again. I I I took the
God.
train from Barcelona to
Mhm.
Copenhagen, which was 2 days and one night, and I
Oh,
was in heaven, like just
wow.
sitting there and watching the landscape and getting creative and watching the people. And there's something about trains that I just love. That's one thing. And the other thing that there are different places I like, but I always like to be just outside the town so that I'm close to nature
Mhm.
and I can immerse myself in that, and then from there I can visit Barcelona or somewhere else.
Right.
But my home is not in the city. My home is just outside with nature. That's the best for me.
Wow,
That's
wow.
beautiful.
I love that. I love that. Well, I love trains too, by the way.
Ah,
Yeah.
I love trains too.
One of my best memories, you reminded me, is taking a train through the Alps in the winter. Like
ah,
that was
Oh my
yes,
God.
yes.
like it was stunning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
I think both of you know where I would go today. In fact, I'm just going to show it to our audience real quick.
Mhm.
This is a live shot of Le Sacré-Cœur de Montmartre in Paris. That's where I would be
Mm.
right now.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
right there in
Yeah.
front, there's that little those steps. From there, you can
Mhm.
literally see all of Paris from there because this is on a hilltop.
Mm.
And you can kind of look down and see all of Paris. But it's a beautiful, beautiful scene. Love that place so much. I felt as though it was a uh, second home for me when I first went there the first time.
Wow.
Mhm.
And so I've gone back several times, and it's been joyful every single time, which is, I think, something that to a certain degree, I think everybody needs to find almost that additional place that they could call home, or places that they can call their home.
Mhm.
Because there's
Mhm.
something important about, where you're in a place that you feel totally at ease, totally peaceful, totally joyful. May it be, on a train like you, Halina, because one of my things I've always wanted to do is do something like the Orient Express or
Yes.
something like that, right? Where
Mhm.
you're on that train and you're going through all these beautiful locales. Sheila, I love England. I
Yeah.
I want to explore more of it. I want to explore more of it. I have friends in like Bristol and other places, and they're like, "Oh, you need to come because it's like the quaint port and all that kind of stuff."
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so different than London.
yeah.
Getting that.
Mm.
Where's a place that you haven't been that you would want to go to? And I'll go to you, Sheila, first.
The one that keeps coming to mind is Greece
Oh,
and the
yeah,
islands.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that I get pulled to when I think of just land.
Mm-hmm.
That's the image that keeps coming to mind lately.
Mm-hmm. 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 What about you, Helena? What would be one place that you haven't been
Um,
that you would like to go?
I actually make plans to go there. It's an island in Japan that's called Shikoku, where
Ooh,
Mm.
where you can walk from temple. There are 88 temples, and you can walk
Oh,
from
wow.
temple
wow.
to temple to temple. I'm not gonna do all 88, but it's a beautiful experience again of walking through nature, then visiting these beautiful old Japanese temples, and walking again. It's
That sounds
yeah,
amazing.
and I've always wanted to visit Japan, so it's about time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, again, I told you guys about this one wonderful article that's in Time Magazine, and I'm going to put the link in our chat so you can read it too. Where just some facts. Data suggests that Americans used to take nearly 3 weeks of vacation a year in 2000, but took just slightly more than 2 weeks in 2015. So
Mm.
basically, people are taking less vacation. And
Mhm.
the benefits are clear. It said, we know that taking a break is extremely good for one's mental health.
Mm.
It puts you in a different frame of mind, gets you out of your standard patterns, and can give you time with the family. And this is from Susan Krause Whitborn, an adjunct professor of gerontology at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. She goes on and says that in one survey of 414 travelers, 94% said they had as much or more energy after coming back after a good trip, and 55% who had a low stress trip returned to work with even higher levels of energy than before.
Mm.
And so, I say all this to tell people, along with our guest today, that this is part of not just, oh well, we're just going to have a good time and it's just a respite, This is good in terms of your overall wellness and being, and that this is empowering, right? And that these kind of habits, as Halina, you've been talking about, they allow us to create a baseline standard of the joy energy in us that we carry out every single day. So our intensity level, like I was saying before, like a dial, instead of it being on a 1, maybe it comes up to a baseline of a 5, which is really, really good.
It is.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
So thank you both for this. This is
Thank you.
this is
Yes,
great. I
definitely.
love this. Listen, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have some final thoughts, and we'll do some Soulivity shameless plugs, which I love to do. So we'll be back in about 60 seconds or so.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Yes, create your dreams of a lifetime by visiting soulivity.com today. Why don't we go to some final thoughts from both of you on today's topic? And Halina, I'll go to you first.
I think it's really important to you already touched upon it, but I want to stress it because it's so important to understand that just like we need both to breathe in and breathe out, we need to also rest in between work. We need to cultivate that every day. So make small breaks and then make bigger breaks in between, and vacation is one of those bigger breaks. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity, and it does define how we work for the rest of the year. And joy has a special role to play there also, in the sense that, when we enjoy, we are much more efficient. We make much better decisions.
Yeah.
There's much more clear thinking. We are much more in the zone.
Right.
So again, joy is not a luxury. It's something that helps us not only enjoy vacation, but also work in a way that's more satisfying, but also more productive, actually.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Sheila?
We talked about bigger adventures and vacations that we take when we're traveling, but as we were saying, joy is present with us, and we can have these vacations right in our own land, wherever we live. There is beauty, there is sacredness, there's adventure. And I always loved when I had a guest that came to visit. I still do, because then I get to take him to other places. And when Zach moved in now 10 years ago, that was his whole, he'd never been to this area. And so we were always on these adventures, and we started calling them adventure days.
Aww.
And now in the summer, we pick a day of the week and we do an adventure, and we do a day trip somewhere in a driving, where we can drive to. And we are always more creative. We work together too. So we actually get more done when we get away and start doing these adventures, and we become more creative. Things fall into place. We're more productive, like Halina just said, and you both said. So just wherever you are, take the break and bring joy with you.
I love it.
So important.
I love it. I'm just gonna say ditto, because I think that these things are so important. There's such a disparity between how some Western civilizations like Americans are different than other people around the world, even Europeans, when it comes to taking a break. And that Europeans take a break. They take all of their vacation time every single year, and Americans kind of hoard it. And so take the time to bring joy into your life through taking different respites and being with the ones that you love and living your life with joy and wonder. And so that's my final thought. Why don't we go to some shameless plugs here? And Sheila, I'll go to you first. Again, we've been talking about this wonderful book that you've been a part of for a while now. Can you tell our audience a little bit about it?
Yep, the Energy Healers Oracle is a tool for total transformation. It's a really good book for people who are just wanting to explore and learn more about what we mean when we talk about energy and energy healing. But it's also a great book for healers. And I know it's hard to claim both, but it really is. So those people who are practitioners will find different modalities, different ways of using and working together. And those who are exploring will get a better understanding of what's out there.
Wow, fantastic. And really, really quickly, because we're running out of time here, talk a little bit about your soul connection sessions.
If you want a one-on-one session with me to explore and connect with your soul, use the code SOUL23 to get $44 off your first session. And you can find that on Aspire or SheilaApplegate.com.
Yay! Thank you, Sheila.
How is that for quick?
That was quick. I love that. Again, of course, Halina, thank you so much for being here with us. You're going to be back with us next Tuesday to talk about another aspect of joy with us on This Morning with Soulivity. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Listen, everyone, please follow us on social media and join our mailing list because you could learn a lot more about things that are coming up on our next shows, as well as what's happening in our platform at soulivity.com. Again, on behalf of all of us here, I want to say thanks for joining us for another episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast, or listen on 9 a.m. Pacific time on Thursdays and Fridays on KMET 1490 AM radio for all of you out on the West Coast. So until next time, keep having real conversations with passion and purpose, and we will see you next time.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.